Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
We can both thank Tony Granado. He was doing something to Tony. He was beating on him pretty good. And I came over, and I end up cross-checking Ed right in the face. And as you know, Ed's a big boy, a lot bigger than me. But he didn't do anything to me. He was doing it to Tony. So he got suspended for beating up on Tony. I got suspended for not beating up on him, cross-checking him. But I don't know. The funny thing is, the next time we met, I'm expecting to get wailed on. He's still after Tony. So I was good with that.
No kidding. Was that the only time you were suspended in your career?
No. I was suspended probably 5 or 6 times. But I think the good thing about that one of them was back they thought that they were, smart and everybody. So what they were going to do is suspend players for practice, but they allow them to play the games, right? So we would lose money for the off time, but not the game. So I remember we were in Florida, and it might have been after I got suspended from Ed, I got 14 days. So I couldn't practice for 14 days. So I remember the bus comes to pick the guys up to take them to practice. I had a limo right behind it, picked me up, took me to the golf course. So I'm out golfing all day while these guys are hard at work practicing. So I didn't mind the 14-day suspension.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
What's Canada's best NHL team? And there's a little bit of a debate over that, I would think. Maybe more than we should have. Running away with it, your Toronto Maple Leafs. So I feel like you and Clark are ballot box stuffers. I voted for the Winnipeg Jets. And to be honest, I don't even think it's close. We could go through the reasons why they've got the best goaltending of any of those 4 teams. The record right now doesn't matter because that's going to change.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's what we call the RP Show. Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to your favorite daytime sports talk show. A lot of people saying their favorite sports talk show, period. No big deal. It's, hey, Moose. The Moose is here. Darren Moose DuPont. We got a big news day today. You got to love it. Happy Valentine's, by the way. Thanks for wearing red.
Wearing red? I know.
I just reminded you.
Roses are red and violets are blue.
There we go.
Right?
I got my Hockey Canada jacket on, and I got to tell you, this bunny hug is perfect. And actually, it caught Moose's attention this morning. He's like, "Where'd you get that?"
Never seen that.
No,
one before.
it's dry fit, which you know I like, but warm. And the temperature's dipping a little bit here in the Great White North, the NHL's Bermuda Triangle, but that's okay because it's hockey season. It's CFL free agency underway. There's breaking news out of the Canadian Football League. I will just tell you that our guests today are Luke Gazdic, hockey analyst, former Edmonton Oiler. Can't wait to talk to Luke Gazdic, and also John Hodge from 3downnation.com. It's like Christmas for them today, and to be honest, CFL fans overall. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please?
How about that?
There were some very interesting NHL games last night that I will get to in a moment. We're being trolled by fans of some other teams. We got some NBA stuff to get to, some NFL. But I'm going to start with this, and maybe it's because I'm in Canada's football capital. This news item is the number one topic. I get people coming up to me today and talking about it. It's the breaking news from the Canadian Football League. The CFL has taken over operating the Montreal Alouettes. The CFL made the announcement Tuesday morning, adding that former Alouettes president Mario Cecchini has been appointed interim president. He'd just been fired a few months ago, or his contract not renewed. Now he's back running the team that doesn't have an owner. The CFL sold the Alouettes to Ontario businessmen Sid Spiegel and Gary Stern, who was Spiegel's son-in-law, back in January of 2020. And this is where it gets weird. But Sid Spiegel died in July 2021, having never seen the club play, as the CFL didn't operate in 2020 due to the pandemic. Crazy, I know. So we'll get some thoughts on that. And to be honest, I was with my guy, Doug, this morning in the steam room at the gym. We were talking about, felt good. Great shave in there. Mm-hmm. And he's like, that league's going to fold. It's a joke. And I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes here for a second. Every league has ownership problems. This is not a reason to bash the Canadian Football League. Look what's going on in Washington with Daniel Schneider. They're trying to get a new owner there in Washington. We got news. Ryan Reynolds is in the news again. Number one, it's very clear these things take time. They don't happen overnight. You don't usually buy a car overnight, and this is a pro sports franchise. You know what I mean? Or a house or whatever.
A little different.
Well, this is a big deal. How long has it been rumored that Ryan Reynolds, the star of Deadpool and everything else, is going to buy the Ottawa Senators? That hasn't happened yet. The NHL took over the Arizona Coyotes, and nobody really even knows what's going on there with the Arizona Coyotes. So it happens with every league. It's not what the CFL wanted, but I think it's important to note that on today's opening of the Canadian Football League free agency season, and by the way, it just opened. I need like a market bell.
Yes.
Like New York Stock Exchange.
Ring the market.
Do you have one?
I need to find one, yeah.
What the league has said, nothing will change, nothing to see here. The general manager, Danny Machocha, is allowed to spend money like everybody else, go after free agents like everybody else. So there's my opening thing. It's not as big a deal or as not something to scoff at like people are. That's my take on the Alouettes.
Yeah, this is just a behind-the-scenes thing. I mean, the football ops staff is still there, right? And so they're the ones that have to deal with the cap and manage that, which is going to be the biggest question mark. You know, what's your cap space and what does it look like in terms of spending money? So Machocha, as long as he knows how much money he can spend and what his needs are on the football field, this has nothing to do with anything until we start playing football and worrying about season ticket sales. Like, that's all happening. This is just, you know, because Gary Stern has been so public, you know, on social media and in the media, that's why it's a big story.
I don't know why this is, but Kevin the Medium's checked in. He says Canada's football capital. Are you in Vancouver? I see why he says that. No, brah. And from Rod Monroe, Clark, your dad's checked in. He says, let's go, Riders. Here's to a great day in free agency. We'll see. We can finally put to bed, I guess, these reports that Trevor Harris is leaving Montreal for over $1 million over 2 years in Saskatchewan, and that Cody Fajardo's going to Montreal. I'm hoping all those signings are going to come down the pipe today, and we can officially announce those. But if I may, I'm old. I've got some pretty cool things to my resume, and one of those is Taylor Field. For decades, a century actually, the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, no football stadium in Canada has hosted more games than Taylor Field, and nobody's called more football games there than yours truly. That's something that I'm quite proud of, Moose. Yeah. And we'll come back around on the CFL free agency. I need to lean on the viewers. I need to lean on producer Clark and his help. You tell me what's being announced by the teams here today, because I'm going to move on to the NHL. John Ohm writes in. He says, hey, Tom Brady or Dwayne Johnson, do you want to buy a CFL team? For both those guys, from what I understand, that ship has passed. Okay? They've been linked to the CFL. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say because I get hell all the time. We know about the Rock thing. You know very little about the Tom Brady thing. But as far as Tom Brady being linked to the CFL, it's not happening. I don't think it would be out of line to say he's looking at other teams and leagues for ownership, rumored in Miami to be involved with the Dolphins, right? Their owner got suspended for half a year for trying to bring Tom Brady in there. Yeah. So that's not a secret. So, again, something comes down the pipe if it's been made official. Well, and by the way, JT, this is a good one. JT writes in, he says, good day. Is there a possibility Trevor Harris stays in Montreal now that new team management's in place? Anything's possible unless the Rough Riders are waiting to announce it here because free agency is open. I don't know. I'll say when they introduced this 1 week negotiation window, the legal tampering thing a couple of years ago, I thought it was only to make offers. And what happened, Darren, last week? basically it's a done deal. I'm told it's a done deal with these guys. So it's
Done deal.
So what can I tell you? What can I tell you? Anything else before I go to the NHL?
No, we got the 3 Down Live updates up here, so we'll have those if something breaks. Things could change, but when it comes to Montreal, nothing's really changing for the football players. It's still the same coach, GM, football staff. Everything that they have to deal with should really remain the same. And I think that's the goal of the CFL.
That's the thing. I'm always interested. By the way, Ryan O'Radio checking in from Noonan, Georgia. He says, time for the RP show, King Rod and Top Gun. Thank you. I appreciate you, Ryan, as always. When's our Georgia Swarm going to win a game? I feel like Ryan and I need to go to a game, the Georgia Swarm, when I'm back in Florida in a couple of weeks. Take it in, and maybe we'll be the good luck charm.
Why not?
They felt in Estevan the other night that I was a good luck charm that the Bruins won, so no big deal. We're going to move on to the NHL right now. You can text in 902-518-3033 if you've got breaking news. Clark is on it, and anybody else. But I want to move on to the NHL because there's some very interesting things going on. In St. Paul, Minnesota, Anton Lundell and Alexander Barkov scored in the shootout, and the Florida Panthers beat the Minnesota Wild 2-1. My guy Andrew Imbers, the voice of the Panthers, the public address announcer. So I say these names like he says them. Yeah. A2 Larosterainen scored in regulation for Florida, who have won 4 of their last 5. Bob made 27 saves and stopped 2 of the 3 players he faced in the shootout. I know everybody wants to get to the Flames thing, but man, am I hearing a lot about Matthew Tkachuk here in the sweatpants capital, particularly at the hockey game the other night. The Pats, the Junior A game in Estevan, they're all like, look at Tkachuk, look at Tkachuk. He must be thriving down there. Nobody knows who he is. He doesn't like the pressure of playing in a Canadian market in Calgary. So what? This has been the best move for him.
Yeah.
Did he make the right move or what?
I think so. It seems to have worked out, and if they get into the playoffs and make some noise, it'll be even better. But he's having success. He's playing in Florida. And I've said this often. The place you play sometimes can completely change your production. Some guys like being in the hockey mad market and always thinking about hockey all the time. Some guys need to get away from it and play just a little bit under the radar, and they'll do better. Different situations suit different players, and this is clearly suiting him.
And good for him. I'm happy for him. I was flying here beside a guy from Atlanta that had a British accent. And he said, home? He goes, my mom told me, I'm not even going to try a British accent, that home is where your heart is happy. That's what he said to me. And I felt like if I would have written it down, if I'd had a pen hand, that's a good one. Home is where your heart is happy. And clearly for Matthew Tkachuk, maybe you saw Florida as that. Florida is the greatest place I've ever been. People ask, what do you love about it so much? Go there. Maybe it's not for you. I get that my family, they like cows and horses. I don't.
Yeah.
So I get Tkachuk's down there, and it just suits him. I get what he likes. What kind of idiot would want to wear shorts every day and sandals? So
crazy.
Idiotic, right? Anyways, in Ottawa, Tim Stützle had 3 assists in regulation and scored at 1:55 of overtime to cap Ottawa's comeback against the Calgary Flames, and they beat him 4-3 in OT. Brady Tkachuk, Drake Batherson, and Alex DeBrincat also scored for the Senators. Mads Sogard, appearing in his 4th NHL game, made 34 saves. For the Flames, Dylan Dubé had 2 goals, and Tyler Toffoli had a goal and a helper. Jacob Markstrom finished with 21 saves. It's 11-11 Central. I'm just pointing that out right now. Visualize a positive outcome. Well, we've got our friends over there on the Barn Burner podcast in Calgary, and I watched the clip of it that they put on social media from Rhett Warner. He basically, unless I heard it wrong, he's written them off, that the Flames are going to miss the playoffs. And I get Rhett Warner. I know him. Played in the NHL. He must know more than I do. But the loser point that the Flames got propelled them into the final playoff wild card. There's 28 games left for the Calgary Flames. I feel like not necessarily the best is yet to come, but they've been hot garbage. And they're still 8th. The Oilers are 7th. And everybody's talking like they won the poll yesterday for Canada's best NHL team, the Edmonton Oilers.
I know. Out of nowhere.
So all I'll say about the Flames, I'm not going to be a negative Nelson with the Calgary Flames. I'm going to stay positive. The rest of the media can do whatever they want. We're in Calgary half the time. Can we consider ourselves Calgary media? I'm going to. I'm going to stay positive and believe that they can turn this around and Jacob Markstrom can find his way out of this. And if he doesn't, Vladar will be capable enough to do something in the playoffs. That's me. I didn't see the Daryl Sutter comments after they blew that game last night, but you did.
Yeah, I mean, he just talked about them getting outplayed in every aspect and how Ottawa dominated. Game that goes to overtime, I mean, that's Daryl being Daryl. And Stützle was really good, but the talk this morning was about the goaltending. And what do you do moving forward? You know, Jacob Markstrom's only won 2 games all of 2023. He's only won back-to-back games once since Christmas, or he hasn't won back-to-back games since Christmas. Yeah. And Dan Vladar has played so much better so far in the new year that maybe the Flames have to turn the net over to him for a little while and see if that'll help them get out of this slump and win some games consistently.
By the way, there are 3 things today that I really want to talk about on today's show, episode 939. Number 1, the Alouettes being taken over by the CFL and day 1 of free agency. We'll lump that into one. Number 2, the NHL and what happened last night and what's going to happen tonight. And number 3, this discussion of whether or not the Kansas City Chiefs are a dynasty. I'll just blurt this out right now. We'll spend more time on it later, but the answer is no. I feel 3 championships makes you a dynasty. And I don't care the league. Look at the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'll give those guys credit. They said, we win 3 Stanley Cups in a row, then we're a dynasty. Even Stammer, my good buddy, said, we're not a dynasty now. They won 2, appeared in 3 straight. Why are the Chiefs thinking, I'm not sure they're thinking they're a dynasty, but people are saying they're a dynasty. Yeah. I know it's hard to win 2 Super Bowls, and they did. Great. They're not a dynasty. That's my take. Saskatchewan Rush, 3 championships, dynasty. There's no doubt. Look at the banners. Yeah. On the Tkachuk thing, Travis Rosebrook says, I can't help but speculate that Tkachuk and Gaudreau left Calgary because of Sutter and not because of any pressure. Remember Sutter's comments on Gaudreau before his 500th game. Who can forget? What do you think about his 500th game tonight, Daryl? I hope he's better than has more energy than his 499th game.
Oh,
he stared at the camera. He stared at the camera so long, I thought my screen froze till he blinked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've thought all the same things. But the fact is, he was coach of the year last year. They won the pennant. Listen, I get it, but I've known Daryl a long time and the Sutter family longer. I'll say it again. I'm going to choose to stay positive because they are still in a playoff spot and think that they can turn this around and make some noise. I really do. Swerve in Calgary says, ahem, KC has 3 Super Bowls. Don't forget 1969. Now he's just being a jerk. You know what I mean? Yeah, Cowboys have 5. What does that make us? We'll be right back, and we'll continue. We're just getting rolling. And by the way, munch on this in the break, you two. Was it bad timing and unprofessional timing for the CFL to announce that one team's been taken over by the league on the day of free agency? You couldn't have waited until tomorrow or yesterday?
Right.
Was there a reason they timed it like this? I would like to think they just didn't think about it. But maybe I'm wrong. It's happened twice now. We've got that, right? On record that I've been wrong?
Yeah, I think twice.
Or 1.5.
Maybe.
We'll be right back. It's the RP Show. We're live on Game Plus TV, live streaming on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and the radio, WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
it's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG. Always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. And we don't need a lot of topics on the table today. Well, I guess we're not the Golden Corral of sports today. Not everything, Moose. We got Darren Moose DuPont here. Hey, yeah, we got him. Elliot is watching in Balgony.
Okay.
And he writes, and he says, hey, Rod, that Montreal situation is going to be the biggest of the day. Okay, while we update that, Clark, can you get the jerseys ready for today's poll? People are very geeked up about our jersey bracket. We're down to the final four. Which third jerseys or retro reverse jerseys are which is the best in the NHL? We'll get to today's poll in a second. And what's Larry? Oh, Tom Brady. Regarding Tom Brady, Larry in Medicine Hat watching on Game Plus TV says, Tom retired from the NFL, but maybe not football. He could be the only quarterback to win a Super Bowl and a Grey Cup. Tom's not going to have anything to do with the CFL from what I'm heard, and that's from my Florida people. Now, to the Alouettes being taken over by the CFL, that being announced the morning of free agency, starting the timing just seems odd. You have a take on that.
Yeah, I think, it's not that odd. I think they wanted to get this out. My opinion would be that you want to get this out as fast as possible, not wait till after free agency, because you want to let pending free agents know that the league is stepping in to take care of the ownership situation. So any uncertainty about the franchise, maybe their minds can be eased that no, the league's got this. There's going to be stability in Montreal. Don't be nervous about signing with the Montreal Alouettes. But if I'm Danny Machocha, couldn't you announce this last week when the players were actually signing and making their decisions, when we're trying to re-sign Eugene Lewis and Trevor Harris? right? But I think the fact they got it out now lets pending free agents know that, no, this organization is going to be around. The league's taking care of it. It's not going anywhere.
Nobody has more up-to-the-moment coverage of the Canadian Football League's free agency opening today than this program right here. And producer Clark has pointed out that the first two, the Alouettes have officially announced our guy, Cody Fajardo, has signed. It's a 2-year deal, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are bringing back Kenny the King Lawler. Now, before we delve into that and continue with our Quick Six show topics and the Chiefs Dynasty discussion, the poll question today for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center is the first day of our Final Four bracket. We could have this wrapped up by the end of the week, I guess, if my math's correct. We're down to the Final Four, boys and girls. This is from the East. The Buffalo Sabres against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And by the way, Capital Automall has dealerships all across the Canadian prairies and the state of California. Well, to me, this shouldn't be close. It should not be close. Not only is it not close, Pittsburgh's running away with it on Twitter. Last I saw, over 60% voting for that Mario Lemieux look. Pittsburgh Penguins third. Although Clark constantly reminds me it's not a third, it's a reverse retro. I get it, it's a me thing. But that Sabres jersey, I don't even really like the Sabres, but I really like the jersey. And I go back, that Matthew Barnaby book is sitting on the coffee table right now. Barney talks about the 90s when they brought in that jersey. He was there, Matthew Barnaby. I don't know, man. For me, it's Buffalo, and it ain't close. But I see Jenna Reagan's watching from Southern California. She's checked in. You know who Jenna's voting for. But you?
Pittsburgh.
Stop!
Yeah, I actually really like that Pittsburgh jersey a lot. I think it's really nice.
Why?
I like the Buffalo one, too. The Pittsburgh one, it's just got nostalgia value for me, real nostalgia value.
Fair.
With Lemieux and Jagger and Ronnie Francis and Tom Barrasso and those guys. I thought, yeah, for me, that one stands. But I've always liked the Buffalo one, and I thought Buffalo would move to the final until I see them together side by side. I picked Pittsburgh.
It's funny, by the way. It's a democracy. It's a free country. You can vote for whatever you want. But you should really buy the copy of Matthew Barnaby's book, Unfiltered. When I'm looking around the camera, it's because I'm looking at it's right behind it on the coffee table. And I said when I spoke to Viterra last week, the multinational grain marketing company, I talked to their regional managing director, I believe was his name, Kent Klemke. We were talking about hockey books and all the ones he's read and I've read. And I'm like, well, I'll drop Barney's book by for you because you're going to want to read it. He talks about Tom Barrasso, and I get this. Like, a lot of people don't like cocky people. I don't have a problem with cocky people.
Yeah.
I'm historically a cocky person, so I get them. And Barney goes, Tom Barrasso, tell me if you think this is cocky. He was driving like a Rolls Royce or whatever. He rolls up to the rink in Pittsburgh when Barney was there.
Yeah.
And Barney goes, hey, Tom, nice car. What'd you pay for that? And Barrasso goes, don't worry, kid. You'll never be able to afford it anyways. Laughed and kept walking. That's funny. Yeah. Barney thought it was funny. It's a little like G. Simon. G. Simon will tell you that he believed he was the greatest receiver on the planet.
Yeah.
NFL, CFL, he believed it. G-Roy's one of the nicest, funniest guys I know. I don't think he's a jerk for saying that.
No.
You got to believe it. You got to believe you're good.
You have to.
If you're going to be good.
Yeah, you kind of have to. And look he went out and proved it day after day.
Well, it helps to do that, too.
Well, it does. It does. It helps when you can back it up on the field.
There's a lot of cocky people who haven't done jack squat. We know them.
Yeah.
From Dave Naylor. Thank you, Clark, for updating this. From Dave Naylor. Hearing that Saskatchewan has re-signed Canadian wide receiver Justin McInnes. I believe, where did he play? Not Michigan State? Sorry. Oh, he signed in BC. Sorry. Apologies. From Nick, from the audience. He says, no basketball talk. I'm sorry, did we talk basketball?
No.
He says, talk about Connor Bedard on Saturday against Moose Jaw. He looked electric, Rod. Yeah, I was there. We talked about it on Monday. Get with it, Nick. It's not the Nick show. It's the Rod Pedersen show, in case you forgot. Point 3, I'll just re-up this. Are the Kansas City Chiefs a dynasty or not? It's a fabulous, fantastic discussion. I was listening to it. I was driving in from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan this morning, and I was listening to ESPN radio in the morning, and one of the guys on there said the Buffalo Bills were a dynasty when they went to the Super Bowl 4 straight years. I'm like, it's a little early to be drinking, isn't it? They didn't win one of them. How do you call yourself a dynasty for that?
Yeah, there's got to be a different term for it because, dynasty, consistently good, long. What's the definition of a dynasty? I don't really know the exact definition. Can you look it up?
Yeah, I'll go to the big board.
Because when you're, let's say, one of the best teams or the best team in the league, like you could make an argument that Buffalo was the best team in football for 4 straight years.
But they weren't.
Even though they didn't win. If different teams are coming in to win. Kansas City's been one of the best teams in football the last few years, but they've won twice. I think you do have to win to be considered a dynasty. I don't know you're hanging banners in a arena or a stadium for getting to the Super Bowl.
Definition of a dynasty, and this very similar, this has something to do with the 1980s television series that Darren would know nothing about. Have you heard of the show Dynasty? Probably not.
There's a remake I've seen.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay. A powerful group or family that maintains its position for a considerable time. I don't think that's the Buffalo Bills either. So I was saying to Darren in the break that the Saskatchewan Rush were a dynasty in the National Lacrosse League, 3 championships in whatever it was, 5 or 6 years. I'm so fortunate to have been able to have witnessed it myself. Kamloops Blazers, 3 Memorial Cups in 5 years. What? They did? That's unbelievable.
That is unbelievable.
But it's. I'm saying it's got to be 3. I'm not saying I'm right, but that sounds right, doesn't it?
Well, you can make the argument. So 1, you're pretty good. 2, you're on notice. 3, it's confirmed. It's almost like you need the 3rd vote, the 3rd judge to come in and confirm that it's unanimous. 2 out of 3 isn't quite a unanimous call, and I think, I could get behind 3.
Ryan in New York says, good day, Rod Squad. Don't forget to smash that like button if you're watching on YouTube. Smash responsibly. Jenna says, the Bills were the best in the AFC for 4 straight years. The best runners-up. Yeah, Jennifer from the 4 seasons. They are not. Sorry. Win another one in the next 2 years, then you can have a dynasty. It's fun to talk about, and I loved what Troy Aikman said a couple years ago. They said he's something about Aikman better watch out. Patrick Mahomes is coming after his records, and Aikman said, talk to me when he's won 3 Super Bowls. Well, Troy. Hey?
He's knocking at the door.
He's knocking on the door now.
He's knocking.
Okay. We've got high audience here right now on this CFL Free Agency Day. So far, if you're those that are watching on YouTube, Clark's doing a very nice job of updating it. Cody Fajardo officially gone to the Montreal Alouettes. It's done. He's off the board. The Ottawa Red Blacks signing defensive back Carriel Brooks. What else, Clark? Tell me in my ear. Kenny Lawler's re-signed in Winnipeg, or has gone back to Winnipeg from Edmonton. Justin McGinnis leaving the Saskatchewan Roughriders with the BC Lions. Darren in Utah says, dynasties like the 60s Packers, the 70s Dolphins, and the Steelers, 80s 49ers are not going to be seen due to player movement and free agency. But if it is, that's even bigger accomplishment, right? To win in this era, because there wasn't a salary cap back then.
That's right.
He's right about the player movement, though, which, by the way, before I move on to the basketball for our friend Nick, because he loves it so much, with these players moving in the CFL, oh, man, I had a coffee yesterday with a hockey guy who's very upset with the way things have gone in hockey. WHL, NHL, they don't care about the alumni. They don't care about the way things are done. And I've said this to Darren. I've accepted that. I've moved on. A lot of people can't accept that it's not like it used to. I've accepted now that CFL is going to be a carousel of players every year. The other leagues really are, too. It just stands out more in the CFL because there's less teams. To sit and whine and bitch about it, why? It ain't going back. For instance, guy was, hockey people don't run hockey teams anymore. Nope. They're not going to.
Right. Well, you think about the hockey people. They're not going to.
They're not going
to. Like hockey people who've played the game and made a lot of money in the game, because there's more money to be made in the game now than there ever was before, right? So
As a player? Or
as a player, as a coach, as a GM.
That's true.
There's more money.
That is true.
So when guys retire from the NHL or from, bigger leagues, they're not going back. They don't need to work. They're putting their feet up. They're in, the Okanagan. They're in the Muskoka region. They're at the cottage. They're not working in the game until they're in their 60s and 70s anymore. It's just not going to happen.
It's changed. Get with it.
Yeah.
Arlen Bruce III writes in, AB says, great show, RP and Moose. Being a Chiefs fan since the age of 9, I definitely think we are on track to be a dynasty. Also, I have a location for your show at Grand Villa Casino in Vancouver. Say what? Let's do it.
I'll call
Because
you.
we're on the board for a couple of months, obviously in Calgary. But I really want to get up to Vancouver. We've been invited to get to Vancouver. That would be a great way to get to Vancouver. NBA, Kyrie Irving scored 26 of his 36 points in the fourth quarter in his home debut for Dallas as he tried to rally the Mavericks from a 26-point deficit, but the T-Wolves held on 124-121. That was the highest scoring fourth quarter of Kyrie's career. The Atlanta Hawks got zapped by Charlotte. I don't want to talk about it. James Harden had 29 points and 10 assists against his former team, while Tyrese Maxey scored 26 off the bench, and the 76ers beat the Houston Rockets 123-104. 9 games in the NHL tonight. Ryan Reynolds has officially put his name forth to purchase the Ottawa Senators. We got a lot of things on the go today. But Luke Gazdic joins us next from Maple Leeds. NHL veteran Luke Gazdic next. It's the RP Show. We're live on Game Plus Television, live streaming on YouTube, and on your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hi, everybody. Big news day today in Canadian sports. The CFL has officially taken over the Montreal Alouettes from the prior ownership group, and they're looking for a buyer. CFL free agency opened today. And I appreciate those writing in. Josiah St. John signing with the Edmonton Elks, former #1 overall draft pick out of Oklahoma, offensive lineman. Juwan Brescison has signed with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And Trevor Harris has posted a farewell to the Montreal Alouettes. So we haven't heard that he's coming to Saskatchewan, but we know he's leaving Montreal. So we're following that. But Luke Gazdic played in the National Hockey League with the Oilers and Devils, now Sportsnet analyst. You see him on television. He is hosted Maple Leads, which he's doing a great job. Hey, Luke, welcome back to the RP Show. I appreciate it. Can we start? I'm interested in your take on the Calgary Flames. They blew another one. It was in Ottawa last night. Everybody's up in arms, yet they're still in a playoff spot, single digits behind the Oilers, who were voted the best team in Canada yesterday by our viewers. So what are the Calgary Flames, Luke?
You know what? The Flames before the season, kind of going over those preseason rankings, I thought they were the best team in the Pacific Division. From top to bottom, their forward core has depth. They got great defense. Markstrom, the caliber goaltender. And they just haven't been able to put it together this year. I mean, I've been on squads like that in dressing rooms, and I'm not sure what's going on, if there's kind of a disconnect with Darryl and the guys. But the loss to Chicago a couple weeks back, and then the one to Ottawa last night, coming down the stretch here, those are non-negotiable points. Like, you got to be getting both, especially in the spot you're in. And I'm just not feeling too confident about the Flames these days.
Well, that was going to be my next question. They got 28 games to go, and they are in a playoff spot as we sit here today. Do you think a trade or some sort of shakeup would wake them up? What would it take, do you think, to wake them up?
I mean, I think a couple of those would help. Injecting a little new blood into your lineup always helps. I'm sure Brad Treliving's out there looking and seeing what's available. He's not scared to make a move. But that Pacific Division is heating up. The Oilers are getting hot right at the right time. Connor's playing the best hockey of his life. Colorado, they're a little banged up, but they're the Avs. They're going to be there. And LA with the Chychrun rumors, if they can land Chychrun, like, that's a tough couple teams you got to get past. And we haven't even mentioned Seattle, who's playing some of the best hockey, that we've seen out of the Western Conference. So it's a tough uphill battle, and I don't want to say they're the odd man out for me right now. It's still not a long way to go, but they still have some time. But, it's getting tight here.
It is. 9 games tonight, by the way, Luke. And let me ask you this. This is what you do. You analyze the NHL on Sportsnet. Is it a buyer's market right now or a seller's market? There's some pretty big names still on the board, even after Bo Horvat. He was kind of like the first domino to fall going from Vancouver to the Islanders.
Good question. I think it's a buyer's market, but with the cap, teams just aren't being able to make the moves they want right now. A lot of things have to be shuffled around. You can even see I focus on Edmonton a lot more because I played there, and I work on a Canadian network, and they just don't have the money to make moves right now. But that's a team that's buying. We've heard the Carlson rumors, and you go across Canada, Toronto's going to be looking to make a move. But it's definitely a buyer's market. Teams are just trying to figure out how they can make these deals work, and hoping after this year that the cap goes up, because it definitely affects trades and future signings that the team wants to make.
Isn't it interesting? We're, 3 weeks away from the NHL trade deadline, and although there's a ton of speculation, we really have no idea which team's going to make the biggest splash. And unless you have something for me today, who knows?
I think, RP, I think it's Edmonton. I keep coming back to them. And I just think this is their year. This is their year to win. Leon and Connor are playing the best hockey of their lives. Nugent Hopkins having a career year. Hyman having a career year. Two capable, solid goaltenders in the pipes. You have a first-rounder this year, a first-rounder next year. I mean, if I'm Kenny Holland, I'm going pretty deep here. And I think if I'm looking for a splash, I think it's out in Alberta.
What about the Toronto Maple Leafs, by the way? There were a lot of votes for them yesterday as that they are Canada's best NHL team right now. And I think that you would say that represents the chance to go the deepest, maybe even win a Stanley Cup. You mentioned it's Edmonton's year. You didn't mention Toronto. Is that because they just feel it is every year and we're just waiting until it is? Or where are you on the Leafs?
I guess I just didn't mention them because I live here in Toronto, and so I hear about it every damn day, you know? But I think the Leafs Kyle's definitely looking to upgrade. Like, that's no secret, but I know all Toronto fans and Toronto media, they want the big sexy trade, right? They want the Chychrun or it was Horvat. But I don't think the Leafs need that. I just think they need a couple good depth moves. I mean, those trades would help. They could use Chychrun on the back end. I'm not sure with Muzzin's LTIR what they can make work, but they definitely need a few moves, and that's a team that the East I don't want to say is up for grabs because Boston's unbelievable. The Rangers really, really got good with that Tarasenko trade, and you can never forget about Tampa, right? But they have a really good team. Toronto is a really, really good team. They just need a couple more pieces to get there.
You mentioned how much fun it is. I spent half my time in Florida watching the Panthers, and I'll be honest, I wrote them off in mid-December, and now I believe it's 5 of 7 they've won. They've just completely done a hairpin turn. Do you think the Panthers will be heard from before all is said and done this year?
Yeah, that East wildcard race is going to be crazy because I can never count out Pitt and Wash, right? When Sidney Crosby or Alex Ovechkin are leading the charge, those are two veterans that have done it for almost 2 decades now. And then you look at the Isles in Florida right on their heels, and Florida's getting hot at the right time. They're getting healthy at the right time. And Matt Tkachuk is playing some of the best hockey I think we've ever seen him play. I was not a huge Matt Tkachuk guy before this season started. Not as a guy. I know him. He's a great dude. I just didn't know he could really power a team like that and like be the lightning rod player that people talk about. Lightning rod guy, your go-to superstar. And he's really done that for them. He is playing some good hockey, and I don't know if the Panthers sneak in. I still love Pitt and I still love Wash, so I'm sticking with those two to take those wild cards.
Just like the West, some great teams are going to miss the Stanley Cup playoffs. That happens every year. I hope it's not Florida. I'd like to see a run, but I'm with you. And I got to give credit to Bill Zito, the Panthers general manager. He saw something in Matthew Tkachuk, gave him $8.5 million long term, and the kid is delivering. I'll wind this up with this, Luke. Jamie is watching in Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. He says, can you chat about the Hockey Helps the Homeless sweater, Luke? It's a great hockey charity event. Great to see you in Halifax. What's that all about?
Oh, so I play in, they're all over the country. The organization's called Hockey Helps the Homeless. I'm wearing it here. We just played in Oshawa, in Durham here last week, but it travels all around the country. I've been to Vancouver, Edmonton, Montreal, Toronto, and out to Halifax a couple months back. Teams draft players, so you have a pro on your team. There's usually a draft the night before, and you play a little round robin during the day, 3 games and a little reception. So you get to see multiple alumni, and it all goes to different charitable foundations that are in the city you're playing in. It's a win-win for everybody. I get to go on the ice and strap the skates on again every now and then, and all the money goes to a good cause. So if you're ever in a city where you hear of something like that coming to your town, make sure you look into it. Get a couple buddies together, get a team. It's a blast.
Hockey Helps the Homeless. Well, good for you, Luke, for doing that. And just before we let you go, tell our viewers where they can find Maple Leads. You're not hard to find on Sportsnet, but tell us about your other project you got going on.
Yeah, Maple Leafs is a really cool platform that Darren Winkler, Jake Levinsky, and I work on. I'm the host, and it's different stories from my career and interviews with players. There is a focus a little bit on sports betting. We cap some picks and talk about that. But it's just a fun kind of cool content place you can stop to get tons of hockey info and knowledge, stories from my time. We're on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow us at Maple Leafs and Maple Leafs Can.
All right. Well, I enjoy it very much. Always enjoy chatting with you. Luke, enjoy the hockey, and thanks for the time today.
Yeah, thanks, Rod.
Luke Gazdick joining us from Hogtown on this very big day in sports, and we'll get to that CFL news when we come back. Coming up in hour 2, by the way, you're not going to want to miss John Hodge from 3downnation.com. He'll be checking in from Winnipeg. It is the RP Show. We are live on Game Plus Television, live streaming on YouTube, and on your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, The Key.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Casino dancing.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Yeah, this is the studio. We are in the NHL's Bermuda Triangle right now, and for the sake of what we're doing today on Valentine's Day, and it's a coincidence that I'm wearing red for it, it's CFL free agency. And This is Canada's favorite daytime talk show. I don't mind spending some time on the Canadian Football League. We've got a sports update coming up that will include a lot of hockey talk. John Hodge from 3 Down Nation joining us in hour 2. And we'll also be updating our poll result then as we are down to the final 4 in our NHL jersey bracket. Where do I start? Like, this is like trying to drink from a fire hose with regards to what's happening on this opening day of CFL free agency. Number one, the Montreal Alouettes have officially signed and announced Cody Fajardo a 2-year deal. This is funny. John Ohm in Winnipeg, quoting Trevor Harris, the all-star quarterback, quoting from his Instagram, "I didn't play long enough in Montreal for a farewell post, but I'm doing it anyway." This is now the new thing, like the videos in the NHL, the welcome back videos. They've gotten out of control. These farewells have gotten out of control. Saskatchewan Roughriders have signed 2 offensive linemen, Peter Godber and Philip Blake. John Schmeizer's watching in Kansas City. He says Riders signed Peter Godber. Finally, improvements to the defensive line. From Wired World Canada. That's the account in the audience writing in. Says Edmonton spending some serious cash on receivers. Well, just like what makes great coaches is great players, what really helps great quarterbacks is great receivers. That's something that I learned. Great O-line, too, but it looks like Saskatchewan is investing in that. While we have a minute, you want to throw this up, Clark, today's poll question for Capital Auto Mall, Universal Collision Center. We're down to the final 4 in our NHL reverse retro jersey bracket. Representing the East, the Buffalo Sabres and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And if you can't put it up, oh, yeah, there you go. Nice work. Nice work. To me, it's Sabres all day. I love watching them on television and that just, what's the first player you think when you see that? Tage Thompson for me. And for the Pittsburgh Penguins in that reverse retro, it's obviously Mario Lemieux. And the last I looked, Pittsburgh was running away with it on Twitter. What's the YouTube, Clark? Do you have it handy by chance? Mike. Buffalo has rebounded. 81% of respondents voting for the Buffalo Sabres in that. By the way, next hour we'll have way more time to delve into this and all the other things. John Hodge will join us from 3 Down. He's reporting the Alouettes have signed quarterback Caleb Evans to a 2-year contract. Also reports that Greg Ellingson, the Jelly Man, Tampa Bay, Florida product, has signed with the Montreal Alouettes. Last minute of play in hour 1. Jeff, the Stamps fan, pointing out the Calgary Stampeders have signed free agent defensive lineman Julian Hauser. We're also got some other fun topics on the go, like what constitutes a dynasty. I'm a little surprised that people would say that the Kansas City Chiefs are a dynasty now because they've won 2 Super Bowls in the salary cap era. I don't see it. I think you got to win 3. Although I heard this morning the Buffalo Bills were a dynasty when they lost 4 consecutive Super Bowls. I can't go along with it, but at the very least, we accept all opinions here. Or we listen to them. We don't necessarily accept them. Yeah, okay, I'll read more of your comments. We don't have time here. So, more with Moose, 3 Downs, John Hodge, and whatever this is, more of it coming up after this brief pause on Game Plus and WQEE The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
What's Canada's best NHL team? And there's a little bit of a debate over that, I would think. Maybe more than we should have. Running away with it, your Toronto Maple Leafs. So I feel like you and Clark are ballot box stuffers. I voted for the Winnipeg Jets, and to be honest, I don't even think it's close. We could go through the reasons why they've got the best goaltending of any of those four teams. The record right now doesn't matter because that's going to change.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. I promise you, I can make you this promise. We're going to have a whole lot of fun in hour two. Moose and I are, and I think the audience will too, on Game Plus Television. Hey, Moose, there you are. YouTube Live and WQEE Radio. 9 games in the NHL tonight. Sorry, 9 games coming up tonight, Tuesday night. We put to bed what happened last night. It's a very big day in the Canadian Football League, so we're going to spend a lot of time on that here in hour two. So if you don't like that, I would encourage you to buzz off, because that's what we're going to talk about.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's what we want to talk about today. And as Moose said, once this day's through, it's going to be all NHL into the spring, right? But today's a big day. And let's recap. I haven't even read a single text yet from the 902 line. 902-518-3033. You can reach us there. There's a lot of comments on all the topics that we've had. The Flames meltdown last night. Do the Kansas City Chiefs qualify as a dynasty yet with 2 Super Bowls? We know the answer is no. Our jersey bracket today, our poll questions, Sabres or Pens. We'll talk about that more later. And I'll get to this, what's news so far, 1 hour into Canadian Football League free agency. Nobody is covering it live on air like we are today in this country or any other country. But the day opened with this. CFL, Canadian Football League, announcing they have taken over ownership of the Montreal Alouettes from the Sid Spiegel, Gary Stern situation. And you know what? I don't know if there's a life lesson in here or what, basically, Darren, other than you just never know how things are going to go. Those two buddies, hey, Sid Spiegel and Gary Stern. Sid's the old man. Gary was his son-in-law. They thought they're going to buy the Alouettes and they're going to be the next Robert Kraft. And now this.
I know.
The team's been wrestled out of Gary Stern's hands. From what I understand, he didn't go down without a fight. So there's that. And we were debating, before we move on to the next, some of the signings today, how do you announce that on the morning of free agency? Is it a timing issue? You have a take on it. I don't think you know the answer specifically, but you think you know why they did this when they did. It's announcing it on the day of free agency.
I think you want to get this out as fast as possible to let pending free agents know that this situation is being handled and that there's no reason to avoid signing with Montreal. I think it helps Danny Machocha attract free agents. The league's handling it. There's stability in the ownership, and they're going to look for new owners. So don't worry about this organization being a spit show for the next year because the league's got it.
Ted in Arizona is watching, and he says, how many hosts tell the audience, if you don't like it, buzz off? I love this show. There aren't many. If Serena's watching, she'll get a real kick out of this in Florida. Our agricultural director at the CKRM radio, Jim Smalley. When I started the Sports Cage radio show, May 17th, 2010, Smalley would say to me, like a couple of weeks into it, he's like, Roddy, you break every rule. This show shouldn't be as successful as it is, Roddy. Well, Jim, that's me. I'm going to break every rule. Potentially to my own detriment, but we did make a lot of money. Yeah, all good things come to an end. Let's put it that way. We'll get to your questions, Mandy, in a second, but obviously we got our own agenda here. So we talked about the Alouette situation. They've been taken over by the CFL. The rumor is it's not going to be run by the CFL for long. But here we are. So to the signings today, we're awaiting the Saskatchewan Roughriders announcing that they've signed Trevor Harris. They haven't yet, but that's clearly just a formality. I don't know what's holding it up, but he's already written a farewell on Instagram. Cody Fajardo wrote his farewell to Sask, which is, okay, thank you. Now we're back. It didn't end up well for Spiegel and Stern. Okay. And then here in Saskatchewan, Canada's football capital, Cody Fajardo is going to be the next big thing. I literally thought he might become the greatest quarterback in Saskatchewan history. What was he, 25-10 as a starter all time? Back-to-back West Finals. Everybody loved him. He was a regular at Christ the King Church, which, trust me, is a big thing here. And all of a sudden it completely unraveled and he got booted out of town. And he very classily penned his own farewell on Instagram and social media yesterday. Is this a fad that's going to end? I don't feel the need that they need to be doing this. I mean, it's nice, I guess.
It is nice. But part of it, too, is we're in that world of, like, did you thank everybody? You know? Every time you do something, you got to make sure you do A, B, C, because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, right? Don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. You never
know if you might have to go back.
Right? Well, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And not that it's about feelings, but it's just about, you know, we're doing it because now he did it, so I got to do it, you know?
Yeah, I hate that.
And not because, you know, you really feel that you need to do it. Like Trevor Harris, I like that he said, didn't play here long enough to write a farewell, but I'm doing one anyway. And that's just him pointing out that I guess I should do one because everybody else is doing one, and I don't want to be the one guy who didn't say farewell to the team, and they're going to think I'm a jerk if I didn't do it. When in reality, it's something that should happen. You know, only select few players really need to write a farewell, the ones that really attach themselves to a fan base, you know, for 5 or 6 seasons at least.
So one of my football guys wrote me this. He's intimately has knowledge of the Alouettes ownership situation, and that's really what today shouldn't be about. It should be about who's signing where. But my friend has pointed out the CFL is going to want a franchise fee for the next owners. They had to get rid of the estate. I mean, I don't understand this stuff. This isn't what I do. But he said for the next owner, the losses this upcoming year will be large because season ticket sales have gone down. Corporate sales have gone down. What seems to be or should be a cheap deal probably won't be. And he said the last owners lost $5 million on the deal, and there's more. So somebody wrote in here and said, how much are they going to be selling the team for? I don't know. Who cares? I don't. You're never going to get the real figure anyways. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about what matters. And Jeff Gordon, whom you know, he came to our Super Bowl party. Not the race car driver, a different guy. Jeff Gordon lives in Regina. Michael Jordan lives in Prince Albert. And there's a guy here, financial planner. I think he's a financial planner, some kind of money guy. His name was Mike Babcock. He had to change it to Michael Babcock on all of his business cards and everything because it became to be too much.
And that's something?
Yeah. Anyways, Jeff says, I still feel it's the player increasing their own brand. Sure. but I do remember when I was writing my best-selling book on the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2007, I called Danny Barrett, our former coach, who had been fired just 2 years before that. I was calling in 2008. He was fired in 2006. And DB was really nice to me, gave me an interview. Shivers wouldn't. That's another story. But I said to Danny, you're being real nice. He goes, well, you never know. You might have to go back someday. Which, incidentally, he hasn't. He's been in the NFL ever since. But that was just DB.
Yeah.
Me, I take a flamethrower to the bridge. Blow it up. I'm not going back over that bridge. But that's just me.
Yeah, there's more than one way to do it.
There's more than one way. It's just me. You know I'm not coming back. Won't be back. Thanks for the memories.
Yeah.
Greg Ellingson to Montreal. What are we talking? Eugene Lewis, the league MVP, whom I believe you spent some time with at the Super Bowl or Grey Cup party. Did you not?
That's right.
Apparently, the Edmonton Elks have made him the highest paid non-quarterback in the Canadian Football League at $320,000 per year. And I say, good for him. Guys are going to chase the money. The one thing that's interesting about that is I'm seeing the comments this morning. They overpaid. I guess if you have the money and I equate this to houses in a lot of ways. If you overpay to get the house that you really want and you have the money, does it matter that you overpaid?
If you're happy,
yeah,
you enjoy it, works out for you. I mean, if this team wins, it doesn't really matter how much you pay for the assets if you win. But that receiving core is going to be something. I mean, the Kyran Moore, too, to go along with
Manny Arsenault
and him. And this is going to be a really good group and exciting. You know, it's going to be between Trey Ford and Taylor Cornelius. Can they distribute this football and engineer this into something really great? But Edmonton's going to be a team that you're going to want to watch. Be fun.
You're always going to watch him because it's Chris Jones. And they can't be worse.
No, they cannot.
Well, we say that.
I guess they could.
What were the Elks last year? 4-14, I think.
But they should sell more tickets. They should sell more merch.
Thank you, Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, chiming in with some interesting things. He said the BC Lions have signed quarterback Dom Davis. BC Lions have signed Canadian receiver Justin McInnes, a former first-round pick out of Sask. I don't know. Maybe it's my age that I think it's silly that these players are changing teams like their underwear. But we're still going to watch. I don't know. We're going to have to sit back and examine what does this mean. You can't cheer for individual players anymore. Or if you do, be prepared for your heart to be broken. Because, again, back to what I said, the Spiegel and Stern tandem about the Alouettes, it was going to be the next big thing. Sid Spiegel never even saw them play a game. They lost millions, and he died. Who saw that coming? And now with Fajardo, Jesus sprinkles. People wonder what that means. He was willing the team to victories. I saw it with my own eyes. I was there. Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Game against Hamilton here. He dove in the end zone, hit the cone, game-winning touchdown in the last minute. It was the night of the first day of Buffalo Days, our fair.
Yeah.
And at the news conference, Cody, what happened on that last drive? How did you score that touchdown? Did he run it from 25 yards out? And he says, I don't know, we had a sprinkle of Jesus. We rode that for about 2 years.
We rode that. Had the corn dog afterwards.
Yeah, he was photographed on the Midway eating a corn dog. That's on the front cover of the newspaper.
Unreal.
Bob's your uncle.
Yeah. And then
you got that one, Clark? And then
Bob's your uncle.
There he is. And then he throws his receivers under the bus. I'll say it again. Cody can do no wrong with me. Say whatever he wants, I'll always love him. Rider Nation, not as gracious. Not as forgiving.
No, they're not.
I asked some people on the weekend, how'd you turn on this guy?
Yeah.
And they said, that's where it started. Comments he'd made, telling the truth.
This player movement, too, reminds me so much of, like, you get attached to a favorite TV show. There was one for me. It was called The Chicago Code. It was unbelievable. I watched every episode. I was, like, ready every week when the new episode came out. And then 3 months after the season was over, they canceled the show because not enough people watched. I'm like, why did I get so attached?
Yeah.
You know, I'm ready for season 2, and it's the same with fans. They get attached to players. They buy the jersey. They're all in, and then the player leaves.
So you're saying don't get attached, or you're saying get over it.
It's hard to get attached, or you're going to have a lot of heartbreak. You mentioned heartbreak.
We've got some wonderfully smart comments coming in today. Is there a full moon? For instance, Jeff the Stamps fan says it matters overpaying for your house if you can't pay for furnishings or pay the taxes. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I don't overpay for things, but as Darren knows, I'm cheap. And as who do we have on here? The Blue Jays announcer. Who's the guy, Clark? I love him. Jays talk. Mike Wilner. When I said the Blue Jays overpaid for George Springer a couple years ago. Do you remember what Mike said? He goes, "It's not your money, Rod." So if the Edmonton Elks want to overpay for Eugene Lewis, go ahead. Terry in Calgary, who's a regular at the Grey Eagle, comes down and watches the show. He says, little trivia. Tim Horton of the Buffalo Sabres, who started a small coffee shop, killed 49 years ago today. Sorry, not football. You would think Tim Hortons would have the flags at half-mast today. Clearly, I was there. I'm at Tim Hortons every day. I was at Tim Hortons twice today, as a matter of fact. One in Moose Jaw, one here. I love Tim Hortons. And there's a guy in Florida that we call Danpa, because he's Dan and he's a grandpa. And I told you this, we were sitting, we were in Dodge City, actually. And he goes, tell me about this Tim Hortons chain. What's the story behind Tim Hortons? Is it still the Hortons family? And I'm like, well, no, Danpa, have a seat, pull up a chair. Let's talk about Tim Horton, the great Canadian institution.
Yeah.
That the family has nothing to do with anymore. But that's another topic for another day. We have 2 minutes till the break, and I'm out of things to talk about. Per se, what would you like to talk about?
More Tim Horton stories. What did you tell him?
Okay, I got one. Johnny Bauer.
Okay.
I was telling Danpa this.
Yeah.
The era. Who, Danpa, by the way, born in 1950 in Connecticut. We've connected. We're tight. I was doing a dinner with Johnny Bauer somewhere. The Johnny Bauer, the legendary Leafs goaltender. I think he was the oldest rookie to win a Stanley Cup. Something like that. I can't remember. Maybe he was the oldest goalie to win a Stanley Cup. It was the Leafs. It was a long time ago. I can't remember. But anyways, and there's a statue of Johnny Bauer in the lobby of the Art Hauser Center in Prince Albert. You probably know that.
Yes.
You've probably been by there. But anyways, Johnny Bauer said, your teammate Tim Horton started this coffee shop, and he asked his teammates to come by on the Leafs on Saturday. Having a big party down there. Would you come on down? Paid spot. Just shake hands with fans. Probably not take photos. It was the 60s, for God's sakes. But you know what I mean?
Wind up the camera and scribe it into a stone.
Right. So Johnny laughed and said that they went down there for the thing, and then when they went to get paid on Monday at the rink at Maple Leaf Gardens, Tim Horton walked in with 12 boxes of donuts and thermoses of coffee. That's how they paid him. Thanks, guys. The Tim Horton. Killed 49 years ago today, and if you want to know the rest, Google it. We'll be back with more. John Hodge on the way from 3downnation.com. It is the RP Show, and how can you tell? It's Canada's favorite daytime talk show on Game Plus TV. Your southern home of sports and talk. WQEE, the key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
dark horse bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Laid back and kicking it. Let's head back to the studio. Here's Rod.
Yeah, here we go. We are back, and I apologize for those that have written in today on the 902 line. Maybe in this segment we'll be able to get to your comments. We will at some point, trust me. On the Tim Hortons thing, 49 years ago today, Tim Horton was killed. It was a car crash right on the QEW. I knew enough of the story. BW in Edmonton's watching. He says Ron Joyce took full control of the Tim Hortons company in 1975 by buying the half interest held by Lori Horton, Mr. Horton's widow, for $1 million Canadian dollars in a Cadillac Eldorado. I'd take that deal. I like caddies. Before we bring the Moose back in, a sports update today. The Western Hockey League announced that Kelly McCrimmon, former head coach, general manager, governor, and owner of the Brandon Wheat Kings, has been named this year's recipient of the WHL Governor's Award. My nemesis. WHL Governor's Award is the highest honor that WHL bestows on an individual who has been associated with the league. Now representing the Wheat Kings as alternate governor, McCrimmon was a permanent everyday fixture with the club from 1988 through 2016. There are 9 games on the NHL slate tonight with 3 Canadian teams in action. The Montreal Canadiens, coming off an impressive 6-2 win over the Oilers on Sunday, host Chicago. The Senators visit the New York Islanders, and the Winnipeg Jets look to extend their win streak to 3 games when they host the Seattle Kraken. This sports update for Landmark Cinemas. Here's what's on at the movies right now. At Landmark Cinemas, A Man Called Otto, based on the comical and moving #1 New York Times bestseller. A Man Called Otto stars Tom Hanks as Otto Anderson. Get there. Landmark Cinemas. Okay. CFL free agency. The viewership continues to go up. I feel like, and somebody wrote in here, Darren Moose DuPont. He's here. He's still here, sipping coffee on the couch, that the biggest story of the day is the Montreal Alouettes being taken over by the Canadian Football League. I don't know. I guess for me, Cody Fajardo going to the Alouettes is a big deal. We're sitting here waiting to hear that the Saskatchewan Roughriders have signed Trevor Harris. That's obviously a formality, right? Where else is he going to go?
Yeah, I would imagine that's a formality. I think Montreal's already got their backup too for Cody, so I don't think there's an issue there. Like
who's it?
I'd have to go back and look. Clark, if you can take a peek at 3 downs.
Oh, Caleb Evans.
That's right.
Formerly of the Ottawa
Red
Blacks.
Thank you. When you were thinking Mike Wilner, I almost said Will Bond. So I wanted to make sure we got that name right. But yeah, I think the story is interesting because now we have the optimism of new ownership in Montreal. And who might it be? Maybe it's Ryan Reynolds. Maybe it's somebody, right? Like those things are now on the table, even if they're not likely.
Okay. Woosah. Settling things down.
How about that?
Player movement is what it is. By tomorrow, you're going to largely forget about it till training camp opens. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But you know my guy in South Florida who's been writing me about this Alouettes ownership thing. You haven't met him, but you've talked to him on the phone. He talks about the importance of local ownership. Supposedly, I guess, they're looking for ownership in Quebec, more specifically Montreal for the Alouettes. And he said, well, that's important. He goes, how many local owners are there really in sports? How many are there? And how important is it? I brought up Amar Doman in BC. I said, he's doing a great job. And he said, good point, but that's fairly rare. A lot of owners don't live in that town. Or like Jerry Jones wasn't from Dallas. You know, Eugene Melnick is from Ottawa with the Senators, but Ryan Reynolds going to buy the team. Nobody's going to care.
Right.
How important is local ownership really?
Not that important. I actually think it could be a detriment.
Yeah?
You want the best owners in. If Jerry Jones isn't from Dallas, then that's the best example I could give you of a guy who doesn't matter where you're from, but as long as you commit yourself to that team and you be part of that team, he moved there, lives, you know what I mean? He's now synonymous with Dallas. He might as well be local, right? That's really what matters more than anything else.
I want to say I thought that he was from Arkansas, but I'm going to look it up right here. I'm going to the big board.
Yeah.
Where the hell is it? Jerry Jones, well, he went to high school in North Little Rock, Arkansas. He's from Little Rock, Arkansas. I knew it. But that's just because it's my team.
Right.
Fun chat here, which I got all day for. Richard is watching on Game Plus TV in Edmonton, where we're carried on TELUS, Channel 924. Just with the Elks and how good they're going to be or not be.
Yeah.
He says, I don't know about selling more tickets in Edmonton. The city hates the name Elks, and he writes it in all caps. He says, I live in Edmonton, but a Rider fan all the way. And he says, hopefully Trevor Harris is not a cancer in the dressing room like everywhere he played. Stop. Richard is the name. I don't know about Trevor Harris in the locker room. I don't know. I'm not getting into that. But I will say this. They changed the name from Eskimos to Elks, and from anybody I know in Edmonton, they do hate the name Elks. But if you're staying away just because you hate the name Elks, you're only really hurting yourself. Personally.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that?
I agree. But I get it because they changed the name and then the team sucks, right? So now the word Elks is synonymous with losing. It's synonymous with an empty stadium. All these negative things, right? That you think about with Elks. Subconsciously.
Yeah.
And it's kind of what I deal with. And I really believe if they come out and have a good year and start having that brand as synonymous with winning, people in that town are going to feel a whole lot different really quick about the name Elks. Look how they feel about Red Blacks. I know we're kind of like, I keep bringing that up, but, you know, and we kind of largely, whether we like it or don't like it, we don't really care anymore because they've won a little bit. Now that name has good meaning in Ottawa and in that franchise, even though they weren't good last year.
I don't know what we're supposed to do here on the air every day. Like, Darren and I have been good friends since 2015. We remember the day we met, June of 2015. And the last 4 years we've been together, talked every day. So you know what my circle of friends are. And I'm getting to a point. They had this president, Chris Pedersen. And you tell me, Edmonton Elks fans, if I'm right on this, but they had this American president, Chris Pedersen, of the Edmonton Eskimos. And under pressure from a couple sponsors, they changed the name. And then they end up firing the guy. And then we're sitting here with a name that nobody wants. I know I'm taking the long way to get to my point. But one of those guys that I talk with in my circle of friends, he's probably watching the show right now. Remember when I put him on the speakerphone and we were driving to Saskatoon?
Yeah.
He was the old coach. And you were like, you couldn't believe his language. The way he swore.
I know.
But anyways, we talked about when you have, I'm not going to call Chris Pedersen an idiot because I've never met him. He was on this show when he was the president of the Edmonton Elks. So do you remember that? And he was like, great to be on your show, my friend. I'm like, I'm not your friend. We've never met. He's one of those kind of guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to call him an idiot, but I do know of some idiots that run sports teams. And, I said to that coach, we were talking on the phone, not the day you were listening, but I said, hey, you just got to roll with it, man, because we're not in control. And the boards put him in these positions and the owners put him in these positions. And he goes, yes, but the collateral damage while we're waiting, ruining careers, ruining people, ruining franchises. Is it too much to say that Chris Pedersen ruined the Edmonton Eskimos?
Well, they haven't recovered yet.
Hot damn. He might have. Are we declaring it today?
Well, they're still kicking. There's still a pulse. And with what Chris Jones has done in free agency in the last couple of weeks and today, there's some signs of life. Like I think they might have grabbed onto the rope right now and leg on the rope, and I think they're really close. So they can be saved. And I think they've taken a lot of the necessary steps in the right direction.
Mandy in Edmonton, probably enjoying this Edmonton chat right now. She says, Trevor Harris isn't a cancer in the locker room. What the hell? I know, right? That's why you just can't listen to anybody. You just go, blah, blah, blah. I don't listen to anybody. Ted in Arizona, regarding Jera. He says, I think local ownership is very important. If you're trying to get government help in building facilities, Jerry Jones is a unicorn among owners. Different topic, different day. Jerry paid for everything with his own money and won 3 Super Bowls. They didn't care. He could be from the moon. They'd love him in Dallas because he won and paid for everything out of his own pocket. I know they don't understand that in Canada. Completely weird thinking.
Right.
Right? Rich in Edmonton. I appreciate him every day he writes in. He says, regarding the Elks, bad team, hard stadium to get to. You have to take the train. No connection to the name Elks. An NHL first city. Lots of reasons we're staying away. How do I argue with that?
You can't.
Well, hey, BW regarding this, he says, when Boston Pizza started to push the Eskimos name out, so did my dollars away from Boston Pizza. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah. And again, I don't know if that necessarily speaks for everybody in town and that dollars are being held out of places because of the name change. I think there's just a lot of negativity around the team. You change the name. You haven't been very good. There's been a lot of turnover, right? Let's see what happens now. Again, good things are happening right now. If it translates to on-field success and they start winning games, getting to the playoffs, maybe winning a Grey Cup, I think you'll see things really turn in Edmonton.
It's like the Jerry Jones thing. He came in, and not long after they started winning Super Bowls. So if they were losing, he'd have been a loser too. But
yeah,
right. I get what you're saying. Elks have had a lot of bad things happen.
That we want to hide and sweep under this massive thing called the name change, right? The name change might have nothing to do with it.
I love Ted and Red Deer, but we're arguing here. He goes, not true, Rod. He paid for the team with his own money. The facilities and stadium are a different story. There's a reason they call it Jerry World. The majority of that was paid for by Jerry Jones' money. Well, let's look it up. How did we get on this topic? And by the way, John Hodge joins us next after this next break to talk about the player movement today. But viewer Scott Ford writes in, he says, are these sponsors that forced a name change still sponsoring the team? I don't know, but I distinctly remember on this show saying you can't have sponsors dictating how you do business. You can't. Have a backbone. If you believe in the name Eskimos that it's not offensive, but here Chris Preston's from wherever, Phoenix, what does he know about the Eskimo way? You know? So I don't know. That's their team. What I know is it's very ugly. Darren and I stopped by the alumni lounge last summer. We were at a game, remember? And there was 2 alumni sitting at a table. They immediately launched into this.
Mm-hmm.
Right, immediately. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, we're going to break, and we'll talk about this opening day of CFL free agency and what John Hodge knows about the Alouettes ownership situation from 3downnation.com, Canada's #1 source for football news. We're live on Game Plus your favorite podcast platform, and on your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, the key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
RP Show continues and airing all across Manitoba. Bell MTS Cable carries Game Plus TV. Fastel Max in Sask. TELUS Alberta, BC. Eastlink, Cogeco, Rogers across Eastern Canada. Thanks for being aboard. The opening day of free agency in the CFL, outside of the Grey Cup game itself, is the biggest day of the year in the Canadian Football League. And joining us to talk about it is John Hodge from 3NowNation.com. He's been breaking his share of stories today, as always. G'day, John. Thanks. And before we get into the player movement, the day began with the CFL announcing they have taken over ownership and control of the Montreal Alouettes franchise. For now, what do you know about that situation, John?
Well, I don't think this is going to be a long-term situation for the league and the Montreal Alouettes. Fortunately, I do think they are going to be successful in finding a buyer in the relatively short term. That being said, I mean, what a disappointing ending to what 3 years ago seemed to have a lot of momentum behind it. Sid Spiegel, who passed away in the summer of 2021, then 89 years old as the buyer of the team. I believe he was 91 reportedly when he passed. And his son-in-law, Gary Stern, came in with a belly full of fire. I'll never forget Gary Stern in his very first introductory press conference, taking a shot, totally unprompted, at the Toronto Argonauts. And obviously, things fell off a cliff there for the Alouettes. And obviously, part of that is due to Sid Spiegel's passing. Part of it is to do with the COVID-19 pandemic. I get there are mitigating circumstances, but the reality is this team is back living in mom and dad's basement, right, in 2023. They were owned by the CFL 3 years ago, and they're back now, right? It's like the kid who keeps coming back to live in mom and dad's basement. And again, I understand the mitigating circumstances, but frankly, it's disappointing that the Owls, a very once proud franchise looking to get back on its feet, finds itself back in this situation.
Yeah, and the reason they're not anymore is because of ownership, of course. You know that. And there were plenty of suitors the last time, and I think there'll be plenty of suitors now. So to the player movement in the CFL, so far, what we know on this opening day of free agency, what's your read on who's changed teams?
Well, there's been a lot of movement here, Roddy, a lot, just in the last little bit. I think the most notable changes are the Alouettes and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, essentially just trading quarterbacks. We've got Cody Fajardo heading east. Trevor Harris, albeit not officially, will be a member of the Saskatchewan Roughriders today, by all accounts. That's going to change, obviously, the complexion of those two franchises. And I think it's interesting the way that in a very short period of time, narratives in this league can shift. A year ago, we were talking about Cody Fajardo as an MOP candidate. And a year ago, Trevor Harris, people forget, was a backup. This is a guy who signed back in Montreal behind Vernon Adams Jr. He wasn't named the starter there until week 3 of this past year. So I think this is a better fit for both teams. For Fajardo, I think he had to get out of a hotbed in the CFL and go to a place where maybe he's playing under a little bit less pressure. He does have a familiar face there, of course, in head coach Jason Moss, who is, of course, the OC this past season with the Riders. And for a guy like Trevor Harris, who's never played in a huge CFL hotbed like Saskatchewan or like Winnipeg, I think this is a great opportunity for him to grow his legacy. Yes, he's 36, but he's talked about playing another 6 years in this league. And with the way that he takes care of his body, it's not impossible to imagine that happening. So to me, those are the two biggest moves so far in a large group of signings that have already taken place.
Yeah, is it ever? By the way, you and I have been around this league a long time. I don't know anybody who's played in Montreal that hasn't loved it. You know, for a variety of reasons, but one of those, I think, is the anonymity. Not everybody can handle the pressure of Sask. And, I don't know what it's like in Winnipeg, what the pressure situation is there, John. I've never really heard that being a problem for players.
Well, Winnipeg is a lot larger than Regina, right? We're talking about 3-4 times the population. And right now, I don't think there's a lot of pressure on the team because they've had so much success. I can remember over the years, newcomers, not so much players, more coaches and personnel people, bemoaning the inevitable questions from the media about the team's long Grey Cup drought, which I understand, right? If you're coming into a situation where the team hasn't won a Grey Cup in 25 years, like, well, what am I supposed to do about that? I started working here yesterday, right? There's nothing you could do about the last 25 years. But I remember that question, I think, adding some pressure to the mix. And after the team especially went back-to-back in 2021, I think those questions have been put to bed, at least theoretically for the next 25 years, unless the team, of course, doesn't win another Grey Cup in 25 years. Then those questions have come back. But Winnipeg, I don't think is as intense as Regina. Of course, the Jets are here. They weren't here, going back about 12 years. So I think that helps as well. So Regina, definitely number one. Winnipeg, I'd probably put at number 2.
You make a great point about the winning, though. And Troy Westwood, obviously a good friend of mine, he used to freak out, as you know, on the radio, going, you can't blame this year's team for the 30-year drought. You can't. They weren't here. It's exactly what you just said. The one thing it appears to me is Saskatchewan's gone to work retooling their offensive line in free agency today. Am I right on that?
Yes, they've signed Philip Blake from the Toronto Argonauts. He was a member of the Saskatchewan Roughriders for a couple of seasons in 2018 and 2019. He's 36. He's getting up there in age. However, he is a guy who is yet to play 100 career games. He was a 4th-round pick to the Denver Broncos. He's a Toronto native. He's Canadian, but he was a pick out of Baylor in the NFL. Spent a bunch of years kind of bouncing around there, but never played. Came up to the CFL in 2015 as a member of the Montreal Alouettes. And last year, I think, surprised a lot of people, and I don't think we gave him enough credit for this, frankly, last year. He was starter at guard for a couple of years in the CFL. He's also started at center in his career. Suddenly, Toronto finds themselves in injury problems. He bounces out to left tackle. And Roddy, obviously the Argonauts did a great job protecting their quarterbacks through the playoffs because they were able to win a Grey Cup. And Philip Blake was starting at left tackle during those games, including the Grey Cup, where Willie Jefferson and Jackson Jeffcoat, outside of a big strip sack that Jackson Jeffcoat had early on, were relatively quiet. So yes, he's older, but I do think that he's going to be a strong candidate to start at left tackle for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We know that Taron Vaughn, the starter from that position a year ago, has left for the Ottawa Redblacks in free agency. So Philip Blake, not only I think potentially an upgrade at that spot as a kind of a surprise addition at left tackle, but he's also going to help their ratio by being an extra Canadian starter if Saskatchewan continues starting an all-Canadian interior to that line. If they don't, they now have the freedom to go American potentially at one of those interior spots. So I like the move for Saskatchewan. I think it's an upgrade for their offensive line, which was obviously needed after this past season.
John, I tell Dunk every time he's on that you guys are not only the first source that I go for CFL News, it's the only source that I go for CFL News. So nobody covers it deeper than you guys or with more integrity and truth, in my opinion. I want your take on this. The negotiation window, this is what, year 2 of it? Do you like the way that it's worked out? Has it had the desired result, do you think?
I love the window. I believe this is year 3 of the window, and okay. I think it's one of the smartest moves that the CFL has made, at least in my time covering the league. I really do. It gives you a great opportunity as a player or as an agent or as a team, frankly, to go out there and find your worth, right, on the open market ahead of the first day of free agency. And what it does is it creates, I think, a lot of hype building up to the first day of free agency that maybe was missing under the old system. We know that teams were obviously talking to pending free agents well before the negotiation window. There's a reason it's called the legal tampering window. Tampering is as much a tradition in the CFL as the Rouge, my friend. That being said, I like it. I think it expedites the process when you get to free agency. I think it builds more hype going into free agency. And if there was ever a concern that free agency would just be kind of a one and done, I don't think that's the case because there's so much talent even now on the board. I think we're up to 25 signings, and there are still players. I got my big board here. Sean Lemon, Darnell Sankey, Cameron Kelly, Chris Edwards, Darius Sirocco. You go down the list. There are lots of players. Simone Lawrence, household names who have yet to agree to deals and might have to wait depending on how things shake out to when prices come down a little bit in day 2, day 3. So the window gets a big thumbs up from me. Frankly, it's something the league should have done 20 years ago. I like it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was surprised when Clark's put your name on the board that you had time to join us today because it is the busiest day of the year. So I got more, but I'll let you go. John, let's do it again soon, please, and keep up the great work.
Anytime, my friend. Thanks for having me.
John Hodge, 3downnation.com out of Winnipeg. Moose will join us next. Sports update coming your way in. Full-on audience takeover on this very big day in the Canadian Football League. You're watching live on Game Plus Television and listening live on WQEE, your southern home of sports and talk, The Key.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpedersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpedersenshop.com.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Yeah, and we got the Moose here, too. It's overtime. It's brought to you by the Four Seasons Sports Palace, your home of the UFC and the National Hockey League, and the home of our Super Bowl watch party the other night. The place was packed. Man, we had a good time, didn't we? Ricky the Iguana came out of retirement, our mascot. Hey, be watching at other events across this continent with Ricky. I might take him back to Florida with me.
You get cruel and unusual punishment.
How about that?
These, in that costume, in that heat?
I'd be willing to do it for the company.
No, it would be great. You should.
It's so much fun. I'm going to turn this all over to the 902 text line, and I hope that our audience, that our Canadian Football League fans enjoyed the coverage. This was a very fast 2 hours today. By the way, where's Wayne and Victoria been on the biggest day in the CFL offseason? He ain't even around.
You know.
But that's fine. Rose in Edmonton regarding her beloved Edmonton football team. Why they're a dumpster fire now. She writes in and she says there were many reasons for the attendance. Very poor attendance the last few years. She says it piled on. First, the name change, Eskimos to Elks. Then the absolute garbage way they treated longtime season ticket holders. Then they sucked. It'll take a while, but I think they will sell tickets if they win. Oh, it doesn't take long. I enjoy going to Commonwealth Stadium. We were treated like kings by Victor Cui, the president of the team. And I've had great times at that stadium, going in as a visitor with the Rough Riders, and now I just go in as a fan, and we love it.
Yeah.
It's a great town. Awesome. Great town to go to. Richard from Edmonton. What did we tell you about Edmonton? They show up in our analytics. They're the third highest city for viewership and audience of our show, but they never write in. Today they are.
Yeah.
Richard says, what is an elk? It's the largest member of the deer family. I looked it up. From Devon in Burns Lake, BC. If you can't be here when the Elks go 4-14, they don't want you when they go 5-13.
I was about to just go off, but it was a funny joke.
It's kind of funny.
That is really funny.
Regarding Cody Fajardo and Trevor Harris swapping teams, which is funny. Somebody said this to me within the last week. Why didn't they just trade him? Anyways, they traded teams.
Yeah.
Jim Wagner says, good day, RP crew. Cody and Trevor are both good guys. And no, they didn't need to write farewell letters, but that's who they are. Loving the show. And this is the on vogue thing now, particularly for, it seems to be just CFL players.
Yeah.
When they leave a team, they write a note to the fans. Who did the first one? Who started this? That's what I want to know. Can anybody tell me? Do you know? Because I don't know.
No,
who was the first one?
I know.
I feel like it was this offseason.
Oh, in the CFL, yeah, but this was going on way before Twitter and Instagram. I remember,
give me an example.
Players were doing full-page newspaper, farewells. Veterans. I want to say, did Terrell Suggs do one in Baltimore?
I don't know.
But anyways,
Sizzle?
Full pages where they do a picture and they say, "Thank you, Baltimore," and a signature or whatever on the full page of the newspaper. That, for me, is the first thing I remember players doing that.
But it seems to be it's decidedly own CFL thing right now.
It very much is.
Regarding our invitation to go to Vancouver and broadcast from a casino this summer from Marlon Bruce, can we get our crew on that?
Mm-hmm.
Dougal Cameron in Calgary writes in and says, Vancouver in the summer is the same as Florida in the winter. I have seen both. Just do it, Rod. Sure.
How about that?
I want to. As people seem to think you just wave a wand.
Right.
Twice yesterday I was asked, so what do you do in Florida in an average day? I said the same thing I do here in an average day. The same thing, except a lot more outside.
Yeah.
NHL All-Star Week, 31 degrees and sunny. Hello. Ripping around in the Jeep, eating outdoors, going for a walk. Why do they think it's some place that you go and do things that you wouldn't do anywhere else?
Right. I just do it. And my eyelids don't hurt.
What's a typical day for you? Yeah, I don't sit there and have my face freeze and say, why do I live here? Like I see so many people putting on social media now. Wilf, regarding our poll question today for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center, our poll question today is which third jersey is the best? We're down to the final four, Buffalo Sabres or Pittsburgh Penguins, and this is not a surprise at all. Moose and I are literally salt and pepper, peas and carrots, vanilla chocolate. We're opposite on things. I love Buffalo. I would have loved to have seen a Buffalo-LA final, but it's Pittsburgh for him. It's Buffalo for me. And Clark, what do you got on YouTube for the vote there? 75% say Buffalo.
Whoa, okay.
Let's go, Buffalo. And he says Twitter's the exact opposite. They love the Penguins. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba, regarding the Buffalo Bills potentially being a dynasty. He says, what's up, Clark? He says, hi, Rod and Moose. Buffalo were bridesmaids. They were no damn dynasty. We talk about dynasty. I can't remember who the guy was on ESPN radio this morning saying the Buffalo Bills were a dynasty.
Right.
Of what? 4 straight AFC conference championships. Yay. And what do they get for that? A bag of chips?
Yeah. Participation trophy. By the way, I went to the third judge on the scorecard.
And?
YouTube says Buffalo. Twitter says Pittsburgh. And RodPedersen.com says 50-50.
Oh. Who's in the other two?
Winnipeg, who's the Cinderella story.
Winnipeg and LA.
And LA. They're the Cinderella story, making it all the way to the Final Four.
Tomorrow's going to be wild.
Yeah.
Jason in Red Deer, this is a good one. He says, you got to love CFL free agency. It's like picking sticks before a game of shinny.
It changes every year.
Back in the last minute of play in the RP show. Kevin the Medium says, will Charleston Hughes end up back in Stampeders land? Looks like it might happen. Maybe that's why it's a CFL thing that you write a farewell letter. You might have to come back. Andrew Stout says Trevor Harris going to find a big difference between Crescent Street and St. Catharines and Albert and Dewdney. Right? Oh, Trevor Harris, he don't know what he's in for. He doesn't know. We'll find out whether he likes it or not.
Yeah.
Okay, Moose, nice work.
You too.
Yeah, to the entire IKS crew. Way to go, boys. And thank you to our guests today, Luke Gazdick and Johnny Hodge. 3 Down Nation has the best CFL free agency news today. Tomorrow, it'll be all hockey. We'll see you at noon Eastern here on Game Plus and WQEE. Who has more fun than us?